Good on everybody, and welcome to another episode of Big Life Mindset, the best life hacks and strategies so you can love life more. My name is Eddie Rakanui, and this podcast is in the top 10% most shared worldwide on Spotify. As a leadership coach, my clients include executives, business owners, and entrepreneurs. But more than anything else, actually, I've got a few achievements under my belt. I'm quite proud of them. But honestly, the thing I'm most proud of is how much I love life. Like, I'm absolutely loving it in a way that I see a lot of other people aren't fortunate enough to be experiencing. And this is not a comparison game at all. It's simply recognizing that, yeah, the things that I'm doing, they're coming off well. One of the things that I do, and the long-time listeners and followers have been part of the journey, is I hitchhike a lot. So today's episode, I'm going to teach you about how to build relationships in less than 2 seconds. I'm going to teach you a little bit about TikTok Live, if you're not familiar with TikTok Live. I'm going to give you a little bit of a cultural insight as well, because I'm Cook Island Māori, and I'm going to share a very Cook Island Māori experience with you. And then I will talk a little bit about some of the gems that people have passed on to me and some of the relationships that I've made while I was hitchhiking over the weekend. So today is, I don't even know what the day is, but on Friday last week, I had a planned activity to go hitchhiking from Wellington, which is where I live, to Auckland, which is the main city north of us, the big city in New Zealand, in case you're not familiar with it, in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And the purpose of the trip was to attend an unveiling. If you're not familiar with an unveiling for us, for Māori and Pacific Islanders, and for other cultures, no doubt, but I'll speak to Māori and Pacific Islanders, is where the headstone of somebody who's passed away is unveiled. It's quite a big event. So that's why I was heading up to Auckland, which is about just under 8 hours drive away. I have organized myself a little bit. I laugh because the more I hitchhike, the less prepared I am to be hitchhiking. I'm getting to the stages, I'm almost like hitchhiker laziness, because I know what to do. I feel like I prepare less, or I skip a lot of the steps. Like, I don't carry a sign anymore. And I get a lot of advice. I got a lot of opinions from people about carrying a sign, particularly people who've never hitchhiked before, picked up a hitchhiker, which is cool. So, anywho, Thursday afternoon, I get my stuff sorted. Wednesday and Thursday in our family, before I go hitchhiking, are actually quite tumultuous days. Tumultuous. What about this guy? I don't even know the last time I tried using that word, let alone in a podcast. They were busy. They were busy days for us. For reasons I'm not going to disclose. They were personal reasons, but it was full on. It was full on at our place. I managed to pack my stuff Thursday evening, and then I'm up and early. I have terrible sleep Thursday night, terrible sleep Wednesday night, almost non-existent, a terrible sleep Thursday night, and then bang, early Friday morning, I've got to get up and I've got to walk down to Johnsonville, which is about 10, 15 minutes away from where I live, to go to my usual hitchhiking north spot. I get my bag on, and I've already made a decision that I'm going to do more TikTok lives. Now, TikTok has a live function, in case you didn't know. And I'm spelling this out because I'm actually surprised at how many people don't know. However, if you don't know about TikTok lives, don't feel disheartened. You're not missing a lot. There is some facet of society that you aren't getting a glimpse of. But ultimately, you'll be able to go from birth to death and never have to experience TikTok Live. And I don't know whether it's going to take that much shine off the life that you could live. TikTok Live is like a TV channel. And anybody who has a phone can have their own TV channel where you are the creator. You determine what is on the TikTok Live within the guidelines. but you can show yourself knitting, you can show yourself eating, you can show yourself talking to the camera, you can show yourself having conversations with other people. Whatever it is that you want to put on your channel, you get to be the producer, the director, the producer, the main actor, whatever it is. So I've taken a little bit of an interest in TikTok Lives for a couple of reasons. One is because I enjoy sharing this experience that I'm having with people who ordinarily don't get to have any understanding of hitchhiking. And, going back to what my goal is, and my goal, in case you can't see it spray painted on the wall behind me, is to be a global phenom in helping people to love life more. That's my goal. That's my vision. Putting what I do on TikTok Live helps me to broadcast that aspect of my life, because all of the things that I'm doing, pretty much all the things that I'm doing, are driving me towards this perspective of life that I have. So I get down to the Helston Road Bridge, which is about 50 meters away from the Johnsonville McDonald's. And I flick on the TikTok Live, and I'm standing there, and I'm all geared up, and it is dark. It's about 20 past 6 when I start AM, 20 past 6 in the morning when I start hitchhiking. And it takes me ages to get picked up for a few reasons. One is that it's dark, and people are a little bit wary of picking up strangers when it's dark. Totally understandable. But the other thing is there's a street light that is meant to be on in front of me, but for some reason the bulb's blowing, or somebody hasn't paid the bill, and there's no light whatsoever. So the first time a driver sees me is literally when they're right over the top of me, which is not enough time for me to build up a relationship with them. I back up my ability to build up relationships with anybody, anywhere, anytime. Standing in the dark on the side of the road presents a different set of challenges. I'm there for about 40 or 50 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, but I'd already made a decision, because I'm going from Wellington to Auckland. I cannot afford to get stuck in little towns anywhere along the way. Like, I've got to get the rides I get have to be big rides, because each time you get caught in a little town, it adds not just, it can add time really fast. I'm also aware, and just a quick geography lesson, is that from where I live in Wellington, the next kind of major city is Porirua, which is about 10 minutes drive. It's actually 11 minutes, believe it or not, 11 minutes from on ramp to off ramp. And then if I catch a ride and I get to Porirua, it's hard to get out of Porirua. And then because of the way that the motorway structure is, if I get dropped off in Porirua, the next stop is probably this place called Mana Esplanade, and then the next place is probably Paraparaumu, and then the next place is probably Levin. Wellington, Porirua, Mana Esplanade, Paraparaumu, Levin. From Levin, you can take big leaps in how far you can travel. So my goal is to avoid getting a ride to Porirua, which is where a lot of the traffic's going to go. But if I go to Porirua, I've pretty much signed myself up for at least one, if not two more stops to get to Levin. I actually turned down 3 rides. I turned down three rides to, it's cold where I am. So in case you're watching, you're just watching me putting my hoodie up. It's not for the gangster look. It's because I've got a bald head and I'm cold. So I'm looking at least 3 rides to get to one, possibly 2 rides to Levin. So I turned down 3 rides that come through. 2 guys, and there's a lady, and she's on her own. But I'm like, man, I really appreciate it. But if I go to Porirua, I know what's going to happen. That's going to chew up at least an hour of time, because that's what it is. Like, I'm thinking I have to get to Auckland in one day, because the unveiling, this big ceremony, is Saturday morning at 11 a.m. sharp, and I cannot be late to that. I can't be late to that, by the way, because my auntie has asked me to do part of the welcoming for a whole bunch of dignitaries that are going to be there. So the onus is on me to, no matter what, I cannot be late. I get to, I turn down these 3 rides, and then I'm getting to the stage where it's about 7:15, and I realize if I don't get into a car real soon, I'm going to be stuck where I am, having not made any progress because I've been too picky, or I will be, in Porirua, and I'll still have the same problem anyway. All 3 rides go to Porirua. Fortunately, a car comes past and they say, "Oh, I'm heading to Paraparaumu." Pram, as it's often called, Paraparam or Pram. Pram partly because people can't pronounce Paraparaumu, which is fine. I'm not the linguistics police. And also Pram because it's got a history of having a lot of young solo mothers there, as in pushing a baby in a pram. Cool means. So eventually I get in this ride and I get to Paraparaumu, and that's really cool. I'm in Paraparaumu at about 7:30 in the morning. And then, as happens every single time I'm in this town, I get stuck. I get stuck in this town. And there's no reason for me to be stuck there either. I'll explain the reason, but there's no logical, in my opinion. It's got awesome volumes of traffic. I'm standing beside traffic lights. There's a shoulder that cars can pull over and pick me up in. And it goes straight onto the motorway. I'm standing outside a petrol station. There's good lines of visibility. There's slow moving traffic. All of the things are in my favor, except for one. Paraparaumu is known for, stigmatized, I think, for having young solo mothers, but it is also a kind of retirement area. And so a lot of the people there are elderly, New Zealand European, Pākehā, Caucasian, whatever the phrases that you want to use, white, I don't know. And they're a lot more reluctant to pick up a person hitchhiking on the side of the road than other areas or other demographics. Now, this is not to profile a demographic, but I never have that problem anywhere else. I never have this problem anywhere else around the whole country. And I've hitchhiked through absolute hick towns where, it just doesn't matter the demographic. Like, I get picked up instantly, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, bang. But Paraparaumu, each and every time I'm there, I get stuck. So I'm stuck there for about 40 minutes, and I'm doing a TikTok live, which, to be fair, when you're doing a TikTok live, you're holding your phone, and your phone camera is the camera that's broadcasting your channel. And so that's another reservation or another barrier to getting in a person's car, is that they might be tempted. They might just get over the point where they, would consider pulling over to pick me up, and they're like, "Oh, nah, this guy's doing something on a camera. He's probably doing a TikTok live, and I don't want to be on someone's live." So I totally get that. That said, I could do this thing anywhere else, no challenge. Fortunately, while I'm doing the TikTok live, is I'm building up this community as well. There's a family of people that I'm building this up with who are coming along for the ride, which is pretty cool. So there's about 230 people, I think, watching this TikTok live at this stage. So that's 230 people at least 230 people looking at their phone, watching me hitchhiking on the side of the road. And for ages, I've wanted to do this thing called a TikTok battle. And a battle it's basically a popularity contest. If I'm going to over distill it, and I'll do that because that's exactly what it is. It's a popularity contest. I've wanted to do this popularity contest not because of the popularity aspect, but because I've never done it before. I've never done a TikTok battle. So I'm like, I want to see that, like, it's an uncomfortable thing for me to do, to put myself in that kind of situation. Now, if you're watching this or listening to this and you have no idea about me, you're probably getting, you're whatever. It's so vain. But anybody who does know me would probably step in and sort of say, hey, shut up. You got no idea. So I do this TikTok battle. And you can set it so you have no control over who you battle with. Anybody around the world who's on the same time and go, yeah, I want to battle this guy. Cool. And so you do. So I end up having a battle with a person, and the popularity contest basically is about people sending in GIFs or double tapping the screen, and they are saying, yeah, I like what you're doing, that kind of thing. And then ultimately there's a winner after 5 minutes, and it's like a celebration and that kind of thing. One of the reservations I actually have, and am just breaking through now, is the popularity aspect. So I don't like the thought of people are sending in gifts, because that's what they do. People will send in monetary gifts, by the way. So if you've never seen this before, this is a true story. A person, when you're in a battle, a person can double tap the screen, which is like, it's free. Yep, there's a heart. I like what you're doing. And that helps because, you know, the more likes you get, the more the algorithm pulls more people onto your feed, onto your channel, onto your live. But people also send gifts in a monetary sense too. I'm not going to go into how they do the gifts. It's just I don't even fully understand it myself, to be perfectly honest. But that being said, is that I don't want, and I never wanted, people to just give me gifts because I'm standing there in this popularity contest. Now, that makes no sense to me. I want to add value to people's lives. And so what I have been doing to help myself understand this more and process this more, I think, is if I do a battle, the value that I'm providing is pre-battle or during the live. So if you go onto my TikTok profile, which is Rakanui, so Erakanui, that's Erakanui. If you go onto my TikTok profile and you actually go onto the content that I have, the content that I put in there is all about life hacks and strategies so you can love life more. Like, this is the thing that I bring to people. This is my passion. This is my like purpose, my vision. So I've just interviewed another batch of coaches, about, I don't know, 20, 30, I don't know. I stopped keeping tab of them, but I give them 5 minutes on my podcast, this podcast. And in that 5-minute segment, they have a 3-minute window to talk about a problem and how you solve it. So business and life coaches around the world, they come on and say, this is a problem, this is how you solve it. And so I take that bit out as well, and then I put that into TikTok and say, look, if you've got this problem, here's a coach telling you for free how you solve it. That's on my time. And so I pull all of that content together, put it on my TikTok profile. And so for me, rather than being a popularity contest, it's about how people are valuing the value that I bring to their lives. Because when I'm interviewing coaches, that costs time. And those who know me know how much I place an absolute premium on my time. So for me to do that takes time. For me to edit it, get the editors, takes time and money. My video editors do not work for free. I pay them. And so the battle for me is not about the personality, the pub, what's it called? I can't even remember the bloody phrase now. How did that happen? Popularity contest. It's not about the popularity contest. It's about, this is the culmination of all of the stuff that I'm doing. And if a person gifts me and sends in a 2 cents, like, this is literally how small the gifts can be. They can be half a cent. And you get a lot of those, like a percentage of a cent. They send that in. It's recognition that, yeah, Eddie, this thing that you're doing, that you're helping people to love life more, it's worth half a cent. I appreciate it. Thank you. So that's how I'm pulling that together in my mind. Because I've been adamant, I don't want the popularity contest, and I don't want people just to throw money at me. Like, keep the money in your pocket. But if you value what I'm bringing to your life, and if it's helping you to love life more, then great. Please reciprocate in kind, and then that can help me get more coaches on to help you love life more. So I do the battle. It's with a person who's, I think, in Germany or something. I win the battle, which is nice. But I'd always wanted to do my first battle on the roadside while hitchhiking, because I don't know how many people are doing roadside battles, man. Like, if you do a battle, people are like sitting in their rooms or whatever. But I'm actually out hitchhiking Aotearoa, New Zealand. Anyway, so I finished the battle. That's pretty cool. And I'm not making any progress. I'm stuck in Paraparaumu. I've got ages to go. Like, of an 8-hour drive, I've still probably got another 7 hours and 40 minutes before I get to Auckland with no stops. And bearing in mind, I'm hitchhiking, so I'm going to have stops. When this lovely lady called Pepsla, that's her handle on TikTok, Pepsla. If you're watching this, listening to this, check her out, Pepsla. And she's her family own this business called RTK. I call them the RTK whānau. Whānau means family in Māori, by the way. So I call them the RTK whānau. And she is like, because people can message you while you're doing a live and it comes up on the screen. And so other people can see it as well. And she says, look, I'll get my husband to come down and pick you up and he'll take you north. I was like, man, thank you so much. So they asked me to wait around. So I hang around for another 20 minutes or so. And then a van pulls up as described. And I hear the horn. I see the van. I'm like, oh, sweet, it's here. I go to BP, petrol station. And we hongi. Hongi, for those of you who aren't familiar, is where it's a welcome that is very specific to Māori, Aotearoa Māori, as opposed to Cook Island Māori, which I am. Two very similar but different cultures. And so when you hongi, you press noses with the other person. And when you draw breath in, it's like you're sharing breath. It's a beautiful thing too. So I hongi with the driver, hongi with his son, and then I'm in the van I'm in the passenger seat of the van, and off we go. So we're having some awesome conversations, and they share some. I'm mindful of, I'm not going to share a lot about what we talked about, but I will share that there's so many good people out there. I always say this: the world is packed full of good people. This family is good people. They share a little bit about the business and how they help people that are going through. If the person's had a fire or a flood, insurance company will contact these guys. These guys come in, help clean up all the stuff and everything. And they also just do stuff for local whānau as well. Do a lot of stuff free. They're those kind of people that go out of their way to help other people. Those kind of people. So, we have a couple of deep and meaningfuls in the van as well. And I'm just I feel really privileged to have been looked after by them and to have shared that space and that time together. And Gabriel, the son, quiet guy, he and I have a chat, and man, it's only like, it's about a minute. I kid you not. But he says something and it resonates so deeply with me. And I think, I'm going to remember this for a long time. And it was just, it was just there was a moving piece of insight for a young fella too. I don't even know how old he was. Early 20s? I can't remember. They did tell me. I can't remember. Sorry, bro. Cool. So I get dropped off in Levin, and I have a 5-minute walk ahead of me to get further up to where I want to go. I walk about 5 minutes, and then bang! Honestly, it's like maybe 5 cars after I put my thumb out. I set myself up, put my thumb out, boom! Guy picks me up. And he's cool as, man. He's another young guy. Everyone I call is young now because I'm 44, and I think, I don't know, there's just a lot of people that are younger. And he picks me up, and this guy is dropping gems. He's dropping gems. He talks about, he uses this phrase because we talk about parenting strategies, and he talks about the generational failed parenting strategies, which is this phrase that I'd been looking for without, because I describe, the upbringing that I had, and our upbringing as a child was full of love, packed full of love. It was also full of alcohol and domestic violence. But, I never fault my dad. And I've talked about this in previous episodes. I never fault my dad for the way he brought us up, because he was told, these are the ways that you parent, by his parents. So that he was parenting based on the tools and the knowledge that he had, that he understood at the time were the right ways to do things. I mean, he's a totally different man now, but at the time, that's what he understood. So I've never faulted him for that. But the phrase, whenever I've described it, I've always kind of had that long-winded story. And yet this guy that picks me up in the car goes, oh, yeah, that's the generational failed parenting strategies. That was what I needed to hear. That was the phrase I was looking for. So he also talked about a couple of other things, and I wish I had them written down in front of me. Some sites for mental health and all the bits and pieces. Oh, that's a common theme throughout all of these drivers that pick me up in this hitchhiking expedition as well, is that I swear everybody drops something on me that it catches my attention and makes me go, oh, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. He takes me up to Foxton Fizz, Foxton Fries, Foxton Fizz, and I get out of the car. I walk, 20 meters. One car goes past me. I put my thumb out. Bang. We're in another car. Car pulls over. We're straight into it. Oh, cool. And this is what happens. You get stuck somewhere, like I was in Wellington, Paraparaumu, sorry. You get stuck somewhere, and then all it takes is just this one ride. It just needs one ride to break the back of it or to change it up a little bit, and then you're just on your way, Jose. I get picked up, and this guy he's British, he's in the army, and he is in New Zealand on his OE. He's doing a tour of New Zealand for a couple of years. I won't say his name, but we hit it off as you always do. I love, man. I kid you not, because I love people. I love people. It's so easy to build a relationship with someone. I'm not one of those people that finds it hard to build a relationship with people. And undoubtedly, it comes down to my mindset, my perspective. I take into the world this view, because it's true, that the world is packed full of good people. It is packed full of good people. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there's some bad apples out there. I'm friends with with a few of them. Several of them have done time repeatedly. If you go into the world and in your mind, you're looking at everybody thinking that just the world is packed full of good people, then guess what? You find the good in people. And you tend to find good people everywhere you go. So that's what happens. So I'm in the car with old mate, and he is driving up to Auckland. Auckland it's one way that I can get to Auckland. It's not desired because of the flow of traffic, but he's going to get me to Waiouru. And Waiouru is where I need to go, because you get to Waiouru, and then you're on the desert road, and then Turangi, Taupo, and then if you get to Taupo, you've broken the back of the trip. That's like half of the trip, and the harder half too. Just over halfway. So he's going to take me to Waioru, where I'll get out and I'll carry on. I have to check. I have to check the weather watch because the desert road has been closed on and off. It's the only way around. If you're on the desert road or heading, if you get to Waioru and the desert road's closed, you're going around the other way, and the other way adds at least 40 minutes, at least. And if you're hitchhiking, times two. So I get to Waioru. Oh, man, we just have this really cool conversation. We actually have a conversation. We get into some real deep stuff. And, I even share about my brother who committed suicide. And I talk about the silver linings, which a lot of people don't like hearing, man. It's not that people don't like hearing. No, that's not accurate. It's that I think a lot of people can't process or struggle to understand how you could possibly have a silver lining to a suicide. I'm not going to cover that in this episode. Go back through the back catalog of the things or the episodes that I've put up, and you'll find out where and how and what that actually looks like. Now, don't just take that at face value, silver lining suicide, okay? You have to actually watch, listen, and walk with me in that journey before you think, oh, I'm going to kill myself and there's a silver lining. Like, it doesn't quite work like that. But check that out anyway. And I'd actually told him, I tell this guy, because it's really therapeutic when you're driving, when you're hitchhiking, is that, I've spoken about this a lot, is that, you create the safe space where when I'm on the side of the road and I put my thumb out, I put myself in a vulnerable position. The driver, when they pull over, they put themselves in a vulnerable position. So we create what I call an accelerated position of trust. An accelerated position of trust. When that happens, you fast forward, you skip a lot of the relationship building that person has had with their friends, family, colleagues, whatever. You fast forward a lot of that. You might not have a relationship on the same level, but because you're also no strings attached, I'm in the car, talk, I'm out the car, never see me again. People will share with me stuff that they just do not share with their friends, family, and colleagues. Since hitchhiking, just to skim the surface, I've had people tell me that they've been diagnosed with cancer and they haven't been able to tell their friends and family. I've had people talk to me about being sexually abused when they were a child. I've had people talk to me about strangling their wife. I've had people talk to me about, oh man, just everything and anything, relationship, like being cheated on in their marriages, marriage breakups, just drug use, just you name it. You name it, it's out there. And that comes because of the relationship that we've been able to build. And that relationship that we've been able to build, the origin, the genesis of that is by both of us putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. And now we've created that accelerated position of trust. I get to Waioru and jump out, thank my man. And it's cold. And I knew it was going to be cold. And it's cold. And it's right on the cusp of snowing. When I get out, there's fielding high school rugby team. There's kids getting out of this van. Far out, I swear, one of these kids, I thought he was a goddamn professional rugby player. He was massive. I'd still smash him if he tried to run it straight. Don't get me wrong. I'll run it straight, bro. I'll end you. No. But he was a big kid. But these guys, I was thinking about, grabbing some lunch, but these kids go in there and they just devastate this cafe and bakery. Like there's nothing left. I'm like, man, this is pointless me going in there. But I have to get past the desert road anyway. So, chuck my skates on, figuratively speaking, and I start walking. TikTok live on again. And I'm starting to notice that the algorithm is recognizing that more people are dialing in to what I'm doing. More people are watching, and the algorithm works just like anything. It will point more people to my channel if it knows that more people are staying around for longer. So I know that when I'm in Wauru, I have to go to a certain point, which is right at the very start of the desert road. If I walk any further, if I walk 2 more meters, I'm on the desert road. It's like the very last point you can be before you're on the desert road. And the desert road is like a motorway, and it's in the desert, and you do not want to be walking on this road. You walk there if you're stupid and you have a death wish. So I'm walking towards like the last place that I can catch a ride from. And I've got the TikTok live and I can see the algorithm doing its thing and it's drawing more and more people. And I'm getting more repeat visitors. There's more people liking the content, which is drawing in more eyeballs. And so it's quite a cool, it's quite a cool experience. It's quite a cool experience because I'm sharing this experience that so many people will just never do or have no idea about. And I'm just giving them this literally a roadside view. This is what it looks like when you're standing here trying to communicate to a driver. Two things. One, I'm safe. Two, it's in your interest to pull over the car and pick me up. Like most people have no idea what that feels like. No idea. A lot of people give me their opinions, though, believe it or not. Unsolicited opinions? Who would have thought? I know, right? Unsolicited opinions. So as I'm walking down the motorway, or as I'm walking down, it's just about to hit the motorway. It's not, I'm making sure I'm walking off the road and, not being a pest, not having to be driven around or anything. And I just about get to the bit where it's going to be my staging point to get picked up. And I throw the thumb out. I've been throwing the thumb out as I'm walking. And I've walked about a kilometer, 3/4 of a kilometer, 750 meters. When a car pulls over, bang, that's it. I jump in. It's this young guy in there. And he's driving this flash car too. It's quite a nice car. I'll call him Jay. And so Jay and I, I jump in the car. So, man, that's cool. And then we're off. We're off on the desert road. And about, 2 or 3 minutes after we're driving, the snow comes in. And it's snowing. It's snowing. It's snowing. And that would have been my ass standing out in the snow if I hadn't been picked up at that point in time. So we are driving. He tells me he's actually, believe it or not, Jay is driving to Auckland. Jay is driving to Auckland from Waioru. So I couldn't have been picked up in a more fortunate time by a driver who was going that direction. He ends up driving me all the way to Auckland, right to the door, by the way. I get dropped off to the door of where I'm meant to be. But in the course of that journey, I hear a lot about this guy, young guy, as I mentioned. And, it's just like dealing with relationships, friendships, one of the things that people really misunderstand misunderstand is how you listen to someone. It is so strange. I guess I do a lot of hitchhiking. I spend time with a lot of people. As a kid, I've always had people around me. The amount of people that I've met that do not know how to listen staggers me. I saw a counselor, not for me, a counselor that I know, a school counselor, the other day. And I watched this person interrupt other people on 5 separate occasions over the course of a 40-minute meeting. Like, you're a counselor. You're meant to know how to shut your mouth. The reason I mention this, the reason I bring this around is if you listen, if you actually take the time to listen to someone, you will be amazed at what people will share. You'll be amazed. I felt proud, actually. That was one feeling I had. I felt proud that I had know when to shut my mouth when I'm sitting in a car with somebody, because there becomes a point where somebody's talking and they're talking about this thing, and if you listen for long enough, you're going to hear this point where they're about to tell you something and it means a lot to them. And if you listen, you can hear the cues. And on several occasions, this happened. And this guy shared something with me. And I could tell it, he felt comfortable enough. He felt safe enough. He felt like he was being listened to. And so he said the things. So that was really cool. We got to Auckland, and I get dropped off in Auckland at 5:30 in the evening, which is just as the sun is starting to have that cool color in the sky. And man, am I thankful that I got dropped. If I didn't catch that ride, if I didn't get that ride, I have no idea. It's unlikely. I won't say it wouldn't have happened, but it would have been a lot harder for me to get there on time. So I set off from Wellington, 20 past 6 in the morning. I don't really catch a ride until about, 20 past 7, because of the light. And then I get stuck in Paraparaumu, and I still make it that 8-hour drive hitchhiking. And I had these incredible conversations and connections with people, incredible experiences. And it's the first day. So I'm there Friday afternoon, Friday evening, early evening. And, my family's just starting to congregate at this big hall. This hall is called Achu, which is the name of the island where my dad's from. Achu Nui Maruaroa. And so I get to this hall, and I'm actually staggered. It's the first time I've been there. It's a massive hall too. And because real estate, like the price of land in Auckland is just ridiculous. And this hall is on a massive section. So I'm like, man, these guys got in early. It's really cool. Catch up with my auntie, catch up with all my uncles. Most people, everybody who knows that I'm hitchhiking tells me not to hitchhike. And everybody who knew that I was hitchhiking got up there was surprised to see me, especially so fast. Like, nobody thought I was going to get there that fast. I probably didn't think that myself, to be fair. Oh, no, I probably did. Anyway, it's just really cool being able to see my auntie. I've got family that have flown in from the Cook Islands, family that have flown in from Australia, family that have traveled from around Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's just really cool. So I spend the night, helping out, trying not to get in the way of things, getting myself sorted, organized, all the other things, just bits and pieces, right? In preparation for the Saturday, which will be the unveiling. So Saturday rocks up, and it's a little bit helter-skelter. They're expecting about 150 people. In the evening, my biggest contribution actually is in the evening. I'm watching. I don't know about you guys, but in my family, everybody's the chief. In Pacific Island families, like, everybody wants to chip in their 18 cents worth plus GST. And I'm watching and just laughing out loud as, I don't know, there's like 4 different people telling in a hall, trying to set up the seating and the table arrangement for 150 people. And they're one person's giving in orders on how to do it, then another person's giving orders, then another person's giving orders, and the fourth person chips in saying like, no, no, no. And it's just this cacophony of noise. And I'm cracking up laughing. And, and I just said, look, man, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is what we need to do. And I keep laughing, and the joke I keep saying out loud is, show me your supervisor. Where's the supervisor? Because that's what you need. You have to have one person who's ultimately accountable. Like, if it doesn't go wrong, it's on that person's ass. And so I'm like, where's the supervisor? You know, anyone who's, and I'm making people laugh, which is just like a nice way to take the stress out of this kind of situation. And then I grab a piece of paper and a pen, which I carry around with me all the time, and I write down, this is how the seating should look. And I use a herringbone arrangement. And like a herringbone, you imagine like a herringbone, like a fish, took all the meat off it, and you see like how the bones come off it. That's the way you do it. I'm trying to use the space that we had available and that number of people. So I write it down, I show my uncle, and okay, uncle, do you reckon that we should do it this way? Basically, all I know, because he's quite a senior person, I know if I get him on side, everybody will follow suit. And he looks and he goes, yeah, that looks like a good idea, but ask your auntie. My auntie who's basically in charge of the whole thing, because it's her son that had passed away, my cousin Trainee. His name's Trainee. He passed away. It's 1 year later. It's the unveiling. This is all setting up for the unveiling. My auntie's in charge. So I go to her and I said, oh, auntie, I showed uncle this thing he reckons is a good idea. What do you think? He's like, oh, yeah, okay, son. And so I just take the reins and I'm like, right, this is what we're going to do. And there's maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 people there. And I'm like, right, you lot, grab those tables, bring them over here. You lot, grab those tables, put them there. And nobody put the chairs in yet. Here's a life hack, folks. If you're going to set up seating for a large number of people, you do the tables first, get a couple of chairs out so that you can see what it looks and feels like and the flow of traffic when people are sitting and standing and moving to the buffet before you get all the rest of the chairs and make it final. Because you want to be able to move the tables around as much as possible until you get it settled. Then you lock it all in. So that was my value add to that. I felt really good about that too. Pat myself on the back. Well done, Eddie. So my head's getting warm. So wrap up the evening. Jamming on my ukulele. I brought a ukulele. I stuck that to my bag. And I take a ukulele everywhere I go now when I'm traveling because I'm learning how to play the uke. And yeah, following morning, it's just chaos at night, by the way. It's called marae styles. Marae is a word that Aotearoa Māori use. It's like a marae styles is like a slang phrase where you don't have to. A marae is like imagine a house, and when people sleep in the marae, it's just bodies on the floor everywhere. It's an awesome experience, but it does come with some challenges. So when you sleep marae styles, and I put a post about this on Facebook, and obviously it draws a lot of attention because it's a crack up. But when you sleep marae styles, you have to prepare yourself because your people switch on turn the lights on and off all throughout the night. Phones will be ringing. People will have conversations on their phones all throughout the night. This is when you're housed in one area and you're sleeping alongside 20 other bodies. You'll wake up in the morning and people are praying around you. Your shoes are missing. Just all sorts of stuff. There's just all sorts of things going on. Quality of sleep is not a high priority in marae style sleeping. Social connection, yes. Quality of sleep, no. So I wake up and it's yet another day that I've had terrible sleep. So this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I've had terrible sleep. Saturday rolls on and it's the day of the unveiling. So we go to the cemetery, Manukau Memorial Gardens, about 10 minutes away from where we're staying. And we basically dress the headstone. And when you dress the headstone, so the headstone's just been put in there. Very few people have seen it. It's been under wraps. Take the wrapping off. And then when you dress it, there's a marquee because people are going to be seated around it. There's going to be chairs, a table, that kind of thing. And the headstone itself will have layers of tivaiwai or pareo, which are basically material about the size of a queen size bedspread, and like Pacific flavored designs on them. Throughout the course of the unveiling, what will happen is, and so we're there at 9 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock start, 9 o'clock in the morning, we're there dressing the headstone, marquees set up so that at 11 o'clock, when everybody arrives, it's all ready to go. When we dress it, it's got maybe 15 layers of these pareo. Pareo is like it's almost like a dress. It's like a skirt. How would I describe it? I should be doing a much better job than that. That's for sure. You would have seen it if you've seen anything on Hollywood that has someone who's Fijian or Samoan wearing what looks like a skirt, like a kilt, but let's just go with the Pacific Island one because a kilt, no, it's just different. It's like unwrapped and it's dressing the headstone. It's a beautiful thing. And when the unveiling starts, people will be called up. People who are part of that family will be called up, and then they'll take one of the layers off, and then they'll take that with them as a gift. There'll be 3 key layers, and those are for the dignitaries. And those will be woven mattresses, like hand-woven mats with a pareo or a tivaiwai attached to it. Pareo and tivaiwai, just in case you didn't know, they're 2 different things. I'm not going to go into them, but just imagine this like beautiful hand-woven or handcrafted stuff. Yeah. Oh, good. So we've set it up, and then 11 o'clock rocks up. And we all go back to the cemetery. And now this is where it's my thing that I've been tasked with to do for the unveiling. Like the specific action that is one of the reasons why I'm there. So the reason why I'm there is I'm going to perform what's called a turo. A turo and then a pe'e, or a chant. Now the turo is a traditional, both of them are both very traditional. The turo is like a welcoming. And so I will do this welcoming in Cook Island Māori, which is where my family is from the Cook Islands. We're called Cook Island Māori. But specific to the Cook Islands, there's an island, there's 15 islands in total. There's an island called Atiu or Inuamanu. I say or because it's actually got 2 names. Atiu or Inuamanu. And the language that they use there is a specific dialect. And so I'm going to perform this turo in this specific dialect, followed by this chant, this pe'e, which is very specific to the island that my father's family is from. When I do it, I'm going to be welcoming about 100 people, but more, onto where the gravesite is. And I'm doing it in a language that I have been brought up with, but I don't understand a lot of it. I'm learning it. I'm on my learning journey. But I understand how to say it. Like I can, if you put it in front of me, I can read it and I can say it, but I might not understand exactly what I'm reading. My auntie has asked me to do this turo, and I'll walk you through it. Actually, I'm not the whole thing, but I'll walk you through some of it. They all traditionally start with turo, turo, turo. Just like this welcoming. Actually, I'm not going to walk you through it. This is going to take me ages. But there's specific phrases in it. I acknowledge the dignitaries that are going to be there. I acknowledge the minister, the Reverend Paruarki, one of the high chiefs of the island, the president of Inuamanu, and then I do this pe'e, this chant, which is the history behind this chant. I probably should do an episode actually where I dive like real deep into this chant, which is like layered in history. And anytime, anywhere in the world you hear this chant, if you know this chant and you know the origins and you go, I know that person's lineage. I know if I hear this person, if I hear anyone anywhere in the world say this chant, I'll know immediately where they're from. I go, right, this person is from this specific island in the Southwest Pacific, and nobody else is meant to be saying this chant. Anybody else saying this chant, they're just like copy pasting. But if a person uses this particular chant, the key to unlocking that chant is in their blood. Like that person's blood is from this particular island in the middle of nowhere. And the story behind this chant is just gangster. Anyway, that was like a preview, by the way. So I do the turo, I do the pe'e. I don't do it flawlessly, but I recovered. There's a bit where I say it, and about 2/3 of the way through, and I said, I'm like, that the way I've pronounced that word is not the way that word's meant to be pronounced. So I wheel it back a few words, and then I bang onto it straight again. Like bang, this is how you're meant to do it, and I do it again. And that to me was a massive sign of maturity and confidence and awareness of what I was meant to do. Because I've done this pe'e a couple of times. I did this pe'e when my uncle was buried recently, about a month ago. I did this pe'e when my cousin was returned home, when he passed away, and we returned the body back to the home. And if you do this, it's kind of the thing where if you do it right, or you don't do it at all. And so, because I kind of mispronounced when I'm like, no, I'm not going to just try and bulldoze my way through this and just hope that nobody noticed. I'm going to own that. I'm going to take it back a little bit, and then I'm going to hit this thing with gusto. So I did. I had a lot of feedback from the elder generation that were there. Most of the people there would easily, 60s and onwards, 60, 70, 80 years old. And for them, and for me, it's just really important that if you're going to do this, if you're going to say, this is where I'm from, then you do it right. So it meant a lot to me to be able to go back, not get flustered, not just try and ram it through and just like, oh shit, I hope no one noticed I stuffed it up. But actually said, no, we're doing this properly. So that was cool. And the feedback that I got, as I was going to say, was it was really heartwarming, and it gave a lot of people, man, I can't even describe some of the feedback. It just, I know it meant a lot to a lot of people who are worried, as I am, that our culture is evaporating right in front of us, because not enough of us speak the language. I can't speak the language, or like fully understand it. And the generation that has all that knowledge are dying, and they're dying real quick, and it's their time. And sooner or later, there's going to be a massive knowledge gap between what was known and what's known now. Names are read out one by one, and people come up and they take another layer off the parios and the tivaiwai and the mats off the headstone. Some imena are sung, some songs are sung. Minister's there. He talks. My uncle, who's the MC, he kind of runs us through the process. It's simple. My cousin would have liked it too, because it was simple, straightforward, not pissing around. All up, it takes about 45 minutes, I reckon. And then that's it. We're done. That's the end of that ceremony. We're going to go back to the hall, and where the hall's set up, there's going to be mass amounts of catering. Islanders love catering, food. And so we're going to go back there, speeches, music, food, all that. So we do that. We go back. As far as I'm concerned, I've done my thing. The thing that I was there to do, it's done. I'm there to support my family. I'm there to do that turo and that pe'e. There's a lot riding on my shoulders, because it's the welcoming, but not only that, is the significance of it all is that everyone in my family recognizes the window of opportunity that we have to pass down the knowledge from my dad's generation and them down to us is dwindling fast. And the pe'e, the turo, the pe'e itself is only one person in the family does it. In a whole generation. So in my father's generation, it's pretty much my uncle. He does it. It doesn't get passed from him to his children. It's just whoever the mantle gets passed on to, like my uncle and them saying, you're going to be the person. You're going to be the person from now on that does this and carries this on behalf of the whole family. And so for me, it's just a massive privilege and an honor for my father's generation to say, Eddie, you're the guy. You are the guy that we're passing this on to. You're the guy that's going to take this, and whenever there's a ceremony, you're the guy that's going to be doing it. That's a burden of responsibility that I embrace with open arms. Give that to me, man. I want to be the guy. I want to take that shot. We get back, and like I said, I've done the things. I've done all the things. So I actually I have an edible. I have two of them. I have two edibles. I'm just like, man, I'm kind of glad that that's done. So I have a couple of edibles, and man, I'm just like, I'm so chill. Everyone around me is like chaos and noise and doing things. I'm like, man, that's cool. Just relax. Take it easy. Saturday ends up being quite a late night. I start feeling sick, actually. Not vomity sick, but I kiss and hug over 150 people over that weekend. But by the time I've left, but the time I get home, almost 90% of them. Oh, I won't say that. There's a lot of strangers in there. A lot of strangers. And so by the end of it, if somebody's carrying some sort of bug, I'm catching it. And I can feel it settling in. I haven't slept well for however many days. It's Saturday. I haven't been able to look after myself properly. Haven't had any ice baths. I'm feeling drained as around, oh man, I reckon around about 11 or 12, feeling pretty drained at night. And then I end up being sober driver. I'm sober driver for people, and that, while I like knowing I can get people home safely, I hate knowing that I'm at the whims of people who are drinking. So I've got to wait until they've finished drinking before I'm like, man, well, let me go now. And it's 2:30 in the morning before I'm actually able to go. 2:30 a.m. on Sunday morning before I'm actually able to go to sleep. So I haven't, I count up the hours from Wednesday night through till Sunday when I go to sleep. Anytime I've slept for a maximum of 4 hours, and it's broken sleep each night. So that's not sustainable. Some people can do it, not me. I wake up Sunday morning, I'm like, oh man, here it goes. I can feel myself getting sick. You can probably hear it in my voice now. Oh man, I'm getting sick. But I decided to have a cold shower because I'm a massive fan of cold water immersion, ice baths. Debbie and I have ice baths every day. And, I just try to look after myself a little bit. I don't really get up too much on Sunday. I eat and eat and eat, catch up with family a wee bit, catch up with a friend in another part of Auckland who I'd been meaning to catch up with previous time I was up there. It was good to see her. But really, it's just a low-key day. And I'm like, right, I need to pull my shit together because on Monday, the next day, I'm going to be hitchhiking back to Wellington. So organize myself, get myself all sorted, and yeah, hit the hay. I reckon I get a good sleep on this Sunday night, though. I reckon I've got at least 7 hours of not unbroken, but 7 hours of sleep, which I'll take. And then it's the journey home. Auckland to Wellington, the reverse direction. So I'm up at before 6, cold shower, freezing cold shower. And my uncle wakes up and he's like, "Oh, do you want to ride?" Yeah, man. Do you want to ride to, I was going to walk to an area where I can potentially get a ride. It's about a half-hour walk, 35-minute walk. Not too bad. But it's not a great place. It's like the only place I could catch a ride. It's not a great place. And I said, "Yeah, man, I'll take a ride." And as we're driving, I said, he goes, "Do you want me to take you to Manukau," which is about another 10 minutes out from there, maybe 15 minutes drive. So I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll go there." So he drops me off in Manukau Centre. And I get to, do a little bit of walking to get to a place where I feel like I can get picked up, check on the TikTok live again and help people, get a read of this is what's happening out there. Like a lot of people are after work because it's Monday morning, right? So a lot of people go to work and they're doing the things, but I'm out hitchhiking. I'm out there hitchhiking at a really busy intersection. I get one driver who pulls me over. I actually don't get a lot of bites, to be fair, and I know it's because of the area, but I have one driver pick me up and he goes, "Oh man, I'll take you to Papakura." I don't know my way around Auckland. I said, "Oh, what's that like?" And he said, "Oh, it's pretty good." And then we're just chatting around. He goes, "Actually, if I take you to Papakura, you can't get out of there because there's no on-ramp back onto the motorway." And so we kind of chit-chat away, and we both agree that's not a good idea for me to get into the car. This happens a bit, by the way. Yeah, back in the day, 3 years ago when I started hitchhiking, I would jump in any car, no matter where it was going. Now I'm a lot pickier because I understand if you go to a place and you can't get out of, then you can't get out of it. You're stuck and you got to find a way out. So, you start to be a lot more strategic or tactical. I get a lot of advice from people on the TikTok live, and because the algorithm knows what's going on, it doesn't know what I'm doing, right? But it sees people commenting a lot, people are engaging with what I'm doing, people are staying on and watching for longer. It draws more eyes and ears onto my TikTok live, my channel. And so there's obviously a lot more people that have an opinion on what I should be doing while I'm hitchhiking. And so, it's cool. I don't mind. Actually, it makes me laugh sometimes. Like some people are adamant, this is what you need to do, despite never, ever having hitchhiked before in their life. And I've done it, I don't know, at least 100 times. But, everyone's got their opinion. I do pick up on some people's opinions where they say, "Man, you should try this other lane over there because of what it could potentially do." And I'm like, "Cool, I'll give it a shot." I'm a bit skeptical because the volume of traffic is really low, but it stops at the light. It has to stop at the light. So, the opportunity to get picked up is increased. So I go there and I'm pretty skeptical that I'm going to get picked up. And as I'm showing everybody on my phone, like doing the live, and I say, "Right, this button behind us, we're going to push it to stop the traffic," as if I'm a pedestrian. I'm going to do that 5 times. And if we're not picked up, I'm going to go back to the other place. Man, I push it once, car pulls up, bang. "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going south." "Sweet, jump in." Just like that. Just like that. Life hack, by the way, if something's not working, change it. Something's not working, change it. This whole persistence and perseverance thing, yes, I get it, but it doesn't mean you just keep banging your head against the wall. So I jump in the car, and this guy's story is awesome, and it's incredible as well. This guy was couldn't read, couldn't write, dyslexic, left school early, and saw something in building, like residential buildings, and he said, "There's something wrong with that should be like this." Teaches himself how to read and write, and then gets a job as an advisor to a government agency, ends up becoming an advisor to Treasury, and ends up reshaping how the building code is applied in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Oh, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. And he, like the way he describes it, and I love it, like he's just real down to earth. And he's saying, It used to surprise me when I'd have these people, because I've experienced this too in a previous role. He goes, it surprised me with people, and they're all academics and they're really smart, and they can't see what's so obvious and in front of them. So yeah, bro, I know. It's almost like, if you, generalization, but in my experience, if a person goes high school or college, university, into government, there's just like this indoctrinated way of thinking, this programmed way of applying solutions. Here's a problem, you have to solve it like this. You have to solve it like this because this is the way the professor in university told us, and that was what his professor told him, and that professor before them told them. I have seen this play out. When I was at the Ministry of Science and Innovation, that's exactly what used to happen. And I would sit there in this room with people who are laid up with all these letters after their name, PhD and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how can you not see this thing that is so obvious? It's so obvious that it worries me that I'm in the wrong because it's so ridiculously simple. And you'd have this room of people kind of going around in circles, and you go, but have you looked at this? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. So he described exactly that experience, the experiences that I'd had when I was at MSI, Ministry for Science and Innovation. So it was really cool. It was really cool hearing him talk about that. He also talked about some things I thought were really useful for me to pass on to my daughters as well. I'm not going to disclose those. There were some private conversations, but it was just really interesting hearing. I hate that phrase, interesting. It was really insightful hearing how he looked at a problem and how he recognized some of the limitations that he had. And he said, actually, this is how I can work my way around this. I am in the process of helping our kids understand that spelling is not as important as it used to be. Don't get me wrong, it still has a place, but man, spelling is massively overrated. My spelling's awesome, by the way. I'm not like spelling bee winner or anything, but yeah, I can spell. I placed a lot of emphasis on it as a kid. I used to get a hiding when I couldn't spell words. I had to place a lot of emphasis on it as a kid. Now I look at words, I'm like, this is such an ugly way of writing a word. It's not phonetic. Like, go with phonetic. And if you look at kids now, the way they text and message each other, it's acronyms and it's phonetic. And that's the way you should spell. The way it sounds, write those letters out. Don't need silent letters or rules, I before E except after C and all this other, and then there's rules against those rules and the exceptions. And you're just like, why would you confuse poor kids? Like, kids have got enough shit to deal with more than worrying about how you spell science. Like, just break it down. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, that was cool catching up with him. He takes me to a place called, I want to say Topiri, but I can't remember the exact name. It's a place near Huntley. And it's cool. And this is another reason why I like hitchhiking, and amongst all the things that I've described, is that where he drops me off, goes, oh yeah, you need to walk about 1 kilometer up that road. He can't take me up there. About 1 kilometer up that road, you'll be fine. Sweet as. On my way there, I see this river, and it's like, after it's been raining, so the river's kind of swollen, but it's still slow moving, and there's ducks flying in, and I'm looking, and it is just a glimpse of nature that if I was in a car or a plane or anything else, I wouldn't have experienced. I wouldn't have seen it the way I was meant to see it at that point in time. And because I'm dialed into looking for things like that, I see it more often. I walk about 200 meters up the road. I chuck the TikTok live on. People are coming along for the journey. And behind me is this cloud. And when a cloud is kind of, what's the phrase? It's like cresting the top of a hill or a mountain. I don't know what the phrase is, but you can partially, you can see like the cap of a mountain, the top of the mountain breaking through the top of the cloud. That's what I can see. That's what I can see behind me. I'm like, this is the shit, man. This is like awesome. That's what I'm about. Mm. So I go for a walk, and I'm walking for about 20 minutes, having conversations with people on the live who are commenting. And then I don't even get to the bit where I'm going to actually hitchhike, like stop and hitchhike from, but I'm kind of walking backwards, throwing the thumb out, walking forwards, throwing the thumb out, that kind of thing. And then I get another group of people saying, hey, if you stay where you are, we'll pick you up because we're going to be passing through that way soon. This actually happens quite a bit, by the way. Now I'm starting to learn that the more I'm on TikTok live, the more other people are seeing it. 3 weeks ago when I was hitchhiking, a lady saw me on TikTok live when I was hitchhiking to Hamilton, and when I was hitchhiking back, she saw me on the side of the road and pulled over because she'd already seen me on TikTok live. It's another reason why you can do it, right? So I hang about, just have a chat with people, and then Pico Pico Pies, the whānau at Pico Pico Pies, they pick me up and they take me to Hamilton. And in the course of that journey, I get to build a relationship with them as well. The lady in the front, actually, she has a moko kauai. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it's like a tattoo that covers your chin. And it is indigenous. God, that's such a strange phrase, indigenous. But anyway, it's culturally relevant. And it's a statement. There's a real statement. Now, the thing I love, in addition to this lady having this moko kauai on her face, on her chin, is that she can't speak Māori. This lady can't speak Māori, and she has a moko kauai. And the thing I love about it is she would have had to overcome the biggest of mental barriers, her own and what is projected at her by people with their opinions of who can and cannot have a moko kauai. There's a school of thought, opinions that you can put on a spectrum, right? That you can only have a moko kauai if you are hearty as Māori. By that, I mean you speak Māori, you live on the marae, you do all the Māori things. And if you can't do all the things that there's some imaginary threshold to achievement and being able to do, then you're not allowed to wear it. But really, the only thing that, as far as I can tell, that the threshold should be is that your blood, like it's in your blood. If your whakapapa, your lineage, your ancestry is Māori, you do whatever you want, man. You do whatever you want. You put it on your face, go hard. Learn the language after that, nice. More power to you for taking that first step. So I was just really stoked to have met this lady. She reframed how I thought about it. It was really cool. Not reframed. She finessed how I thought about it, because I was of the opinion that anybody, if you're Māori in your blood, then that's it. You can do it. But I always assumed that you would do it having understood some Māori, like the language. But she just, nah, this is who I am, wearing it, and I'm wearing it proud. They dropped me off in Hillcrest, and by that stage, I've actually hitchhiked out of Hillcrest before, so I'm mildly familiar with the area. I do a TikTok live battle, and that was, once again, I'm just kind of playing around with it, really just trying to kind of build my familiarity with it. And yeah, at the end of that, I get picked up. I turn down a ride because it's only going about 10 minutes down the road. I turn down a ride. I jump in a car, though, later on with a guy. And he and I, it's funny because he doesn't have anywhere to be. He drives a lot. And at first he's going, I'll drop you off 10 minutes down the road. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'll take 1 minute down the road. And then we're having a look at the maps. And it's like, actually, I could probably take you a bit further. And then he said, I could probably take you to Taupo, which is about an hour and a half away. I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to stop this guy. If he wants to take me to Taupo, that would be awesome. We get to the 10-minute stop, fills up with gas, and we're building a connection, building a relationship. And I'm so glad that we got to spend more time together, because he and I have conversations that I'll jump to the end. When I get out of the car in Taupo, I give him a hug. He and I get out of the car. He's got to go to the toilet. I've got to carry on with my day. Go and give him a hug. And then he says, I don't think you realize how much I needed that conversation. And I thought, cool. That's one of the main reasons why I hitchhike, is because I know I can have a positive influence on someone's life. And when we create an environment like that safe space, the depth of that influence is massive. It's massive. I'm not actually going to talk about what we talked about. I'm going to keep on to that, other than to say, I know through the course of that conversation, I could tell he was experiencing the same thing drivers all the time experience when I'm with them, especially the longer trips, is that they're holding on to this mental baggage. It might be regrets, it could be negative self-talk, stress, anxiety, imposter syndrome, just all the things. Everybody's got them, by the way. Maybe not be one of them, might be all of them, or other things, whatever those things are. And by creating that space and asking the right kind of questions, listening to what's being said, but also, as importantly, what's not being said, allows me to build that depth of connection with that person so that they can get rid of all that baggage. They don't need to carry it anymore. Share it with the guy that's backpacking, that's got no strings attached, that you'll probably never, ever see again. Give it to him. Off he goes. I don't take it on. I got asked this actually by a driver, like, how much do I take on? I was like, I don't take on any of it. And the person shares it with me. I'm there to hear. I'm there for them. I'm there to be non-judgmental. I don't carry that baggage. I don't take it off them and put it on my shoulders. I value what they've shared with me. That was cool. That was real cool. I am in Taupo. It's lunchtime. I grab something to eat. Dirty BK, Burger King. Sit down by the lakeside. And do another TikTok live. This is becoming a theme, right? Like everywhere I stop, I'm doing a TikTok live. I'm just like drawing more attention. This is what we're doing. Come along for the journey. This is how I live a life I love. So I love life more. These are the things that I do. During the TikTok live, I have my daughter call me or ask to call me. I'm like, yes. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm canceling all plans to take a call from my teenage daughter. So she calls. And then my dad calls, which is really cool. So I speak to my dad. He's in Archu. He's back in the islands. So have a chat with him. Throw the live back on. Get picked up again. I'm only taking 10 minutes drive, but it's all useful. And this person gets me from the town, which is quite a big town, into the main motorway area, which is where I need to be to catch all the flow of traffic. This guy talks about how he is being, it's not being looked after at work. In the very short space of time that I was with him, I felt like saying, bro, you're being exploited. It looks and sounds like that's what's happening, but I would need more context. But on the face of it, yeah, you're not being looked after well at all. And then he drops me off in a really cool place. There's like a shelter there as well in case it's raining. I'm like, man, thank you so much, bro. He goes his way, I hang about. And then it starts to rain. It starts to like threaten with rain. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting a cold. I don't really want to be standing out in the rain, but I'm actually having a good time. I'm not like miserable or anything. I'm just like, oh, I wish it wasn't raining. It'd be nice if it was sunny, but I'm really just having a good time on the side of the road, yarning with people on the TikTok live. When a truck pulls up, this big truck and trailer, and I just finished. Like I always smile and wave. I smile and wave at anybody who comes past. If you give someone a smile, which is free, you will be amazed at the positive impact you can have on a person, and you can change their whole day. Okay, if you don't believe me, smile at anybody, smile at everybody you walk past. You'll be like, oh no, they'll be thinking I'm strange. Who cares? You'll be amazed at how many people will go from being lost in their own thoughts or grumpy, and then they look at you smiling, and then they just smile. It's like this. It's like an automatic reaction. So many people, and I like imagine how many people I smile at when I'm standing on the side of the road. If I smile at every single driver, and I can't even count, 500 cars go past me, and I smile at 500 people, you'd be staggered to see how many people smile back. You'd be blown away at how many people I have just had a positive influence on. And even if it's only 1%, I've improved their day by 1%. That's 1% better than what it was. You can build off that 1%. And that happens all the time. All the time. All the time. It's not without exception. In fact, I had an exception when I was in Paraparaumu, where I smiled at a guy and he pulled the fingers at me. Flipped me the bird, I think you call it in the States. He flipped me the bird. It just made me laugh. I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't mean to laugh. I was just like laughing at the situation. But, because imagine how many, like, honestly, how many people I would smile at. And then a person who doesn't smile just pulls the fingers. Like, man, that person was just having a real shit day. I might not have been able to do that 1% for them. Maybe it was 0.1%. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes, I'm smiling at all these cars, and I'm just talking about how I'm smiling at all these people. And I wave and I smile at everyone. It's just a thing. I wave and I smile at truckies, but I never expect a truck driver to pick me up, because they often have quite tight health and safety rules. Like, you can't pick up strangers, can't pick up people on the side of the road, against policy. So I just wave, and I guess the assumption, what I thought was the knowledge that I'm not going to get picked up. Lo and behold, this big ass truck in the short space of time pumps brakes, pulls over, and I'm like, holy shit, we're going to get picked up by a truck. And it's cool, because I've only ridden in a truck once as a hitchhiker, and that was 3 years ago. And Oh no, twice, sorry, twice. And I'm like, oh, sweet. So I jump in this truck, and this dude's got tattoos all over him. I'm like, dope, man. We're gonna have a cool conversation. I love people. Like, if a person's got a tattoo, it's like there's a story there, right? And I jump in, and he goes, "Oh, hey, bro, you're the fella that was on TikTok, eh?" Like, yeah, that's me. Oh my god, that it's strange because I hear it, but it doesn't connect with my brain that he's talking about me being on TikTok live. He's seen the TikTok, he's seen me doing the live, and now he's seen me in person, so he's picked me up. And in my brain, I'm just like, yeah, no, that's right. I'm doing a TikTok live, so you're watching it, and now you've just met me. So yeah, that makes sense. But in my brain, the wheels turn a little bit slower for some reason. I don't know why. So I get in the truck, and off we go. Off we go. He is going to take me hours and hours down the road. He is going to go past. So we are just outside. We're in Taupo, basically. He is going to take me to Palmerston North. In terms of driving, that would go, because we're going backwards now, we're going Taupo, Turangi, the Desert Road, Wauru, Taihape, Bulls, Sanson, Palmerston North. Like in between that, that's a good, in terms of driving, that's a good, I'll say 4 hours, most of the trip, pretty much, in a truck. Maybe a little bit less, but like it's broken the back of it. If I can get to Sanson, I've got a good shot at getting home. So me and this guy have just an awesome yarn, and we're talking about everything and anything. Relationships, businesses, laser surgery, building a profile, building a brand, gangs, his experience of gangs. Oh man, you name it. We cover a lot of bases. Real cool kōrero. I was gonna say real cool kōrero. Kōrero means like conversation. Yeah, add that to your vocab. Tuatua, which is another word for speaking. So yeah, we just hit it off real well. To the point where I'm even texting him prompts to use in ChatGPT to help with a business idea that he's got. That's cool. So we get to Sanson. Now, where Sanson is, you can either keep going to Palmerston North, or you can get into Sanson and turn right at Sanson, and that takes you about 2 hours to get to Wellington. It is about 5:10 in the evening when he drops me off, and the sun is doing that thing with the sky where it's starting to change the color of the sky, and I look and I'm like, shit, if I don't get a ride in the next 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm going to need to call the cavalry. The cavalry comes in the form of Debbie's parents, who live in Fielding, which is about half an hour away from where I am, but in the wrong direction. So if I can't catch a ride now, I'll need to call them, because the chance of getting picked up at night, they just drop massively. I chuck on a TikTok live again. This one happens to be the final one for the day. And the numbers go from, so when I started, I probably had about, maybe 100 people watching. 7 o'clock on Friday morning, I had about 100 people watching. When I flick this thing on again, I have 560 people watching. And if I hadn't have switched it off, I guarantee it would have just gone, like, the numbers would have doubled, I reckon. And it just goes to show a couple of things. One is how the social media algorithms work. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're not talking about millions of people. I'm not pretending it's millions of people. But it just goes to show how the algorithms behind these platforms work. It's like a snowball effect. The more people that watch, the more people it tries to get to watch. And the other thing was, it was kind of recognition of the fact that the same people kept coming back to watch because I was having conversations with the same people and it was just growing. You know, it had gone from, you know, I did this 3 weeks ago, and I reckon at one stage I had 60 people or something, and I thought that was a huge amount. And it is a lot of amount. I mean, you imagine standing in front of 60 people right now. You put 60 people in front of you and start talking. That's a lot of people. And then I had 560 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's quite a lot of people. And that I recognize that because it's getting late in the day, I have to change it up. I can't hold my phone while I'm hitchhiking because that is a distraction for drivers. I have 2 seconds to build up a relationship with a driver. I need to convey to them, 1, I'm safe, and 2, it's in their interest to pick me up. Having a phone blocking that view or interrupting that flow of relationship build that I'm trying to communicate or that I'm trying to establish with them is not in my interest. So I've got to put the phone down. So I put the phone down on a tripod, have it facing me so anybody who's watching the live can still see that I'm hitchhiking. But I'm putting my focus into the driver. Like, I've got to bring my A game. I've got 20 minutes to get in a ride that's going to get me from where I am either to a place that I can find a room for the night, or so close to home that I can call Debbie and she can come pick me up, or I can catch a bus. Like, if I get to Puriru, I can get to a bus or a train, or I can get one of the boys to come and pick me up. So it's all about bring my A game. So, you know, park the phone with the tripod up on the ground, and let's bring like Eddie's hitchhiking A game to the table. So I set up the tripod. Oh yeah, actually, just one quick thing is where the guy drops me off, between there and where I go to hitchhike, as I'm walking down the street, this dog is on a lead and it breaks free of the lead, and I'm patting the dog. I'm like, hey dog, that's cool, you know, chilling out with the dog. And then the owner comes, picks it up. And then as I lift my head up and I carry on walking, there's like a family. And this lady goes, hey, you're the guy off TikTok, eh? And I did that thing again. I'm like, is she talking about me? Oh, yeah, right, the TikTok, the lives. Okay. And I go, oh, yeah. And she goes, oh, did you make it to Auckland? Because she'd been watching on Friday. And I go, yeah, I'm actually hitchhiking back now. And she's like, wow, I was following. That's so cool. And I was like, oh, sweet ass. And she goes, if I was heading in that direction, I'd take you. And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool. You know, I've got to go do my thing anyway. But it was cool. You know, it was a nice little, like, it was a nice little bit of, not recognition, but it was a nice loop. No, it was a nice way to close a loop there where I'd been doing this thing, somebody had seen it, and then they've seen it again, and now I'm on the return leg. Anyway, skip that conversation. I go to the hitchhiking. Bring it on my A game. I'm there and I put the tripod down, and man, not even 5 minutes go, bro. And I'm just like working all of my strategy, where I place the bag, where I stand, how far apart my legs are, what my upper body looks like, how far I put my arm out, the eye contact that I make, when I smile, how I smile, how much eye contact I make with the driver as they're driving past. There's probably about, I don't know, let's say more than 8, less than 15 cars come past, and I make eye contact with the driver, and I can't really see the driver's face at this stage because of the way the light is. But I know from experience, I know when the driver can see me, I know what they're looking at, and I know how long they'll be able to look at me before they'll naturally start looking forward and focusing on the road again. And so I'm like really harnessing and focusing everything on this 1.5 second window where I'm saying, I'm a safe person and you should pull over and pick me up. It is in your interest to pick me up. I'm like projecting so much positivity that you'll want to pick me up. Like, you'll be like thinking, I should pick this guy up. And that's exactly what happens. That is exactly what happens. This car slows down and I'm looking at the driver and I can tell he's got a passenger as well. I could tell the driver's female. I could tell the passenger's female. And as it slows down, I'm looking at the car as it slows down and drives past me, and I'm also commentating to the people who are watching the TikTok live. I'm like, I reckon I got it. I reckon I got it. And then the car slows down and it pulls over into the shoulder, the roadside shoulder behind me. I was like, yeah, did it. We did it. And I go, we got a ride, folks. So I just grab up all my stuff that's on the ground, like my bag, my uke, my jacket, the tripod, the phone, and I just grab it all and I'm running down the road. I'm like talking and commentating as I'm running to the people on the TikTok live. We got a ride. And then I'm running to the car and I open the rear door and I said, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good. And I said, oh, where are you guys going? And they go, oh, and they go, where are you going? And I go, where are you guys going? And they go, oh, Porirua. And she goes, oh, where are you going? And I go, oh, Wellington. I'm going to Johnsonville. And then she goes, oh, me too. I'm like, yes. Oh, man. Ah, that feeling is just like such a cool feeling where you just, like your brain's pharmacy just gets ran rated and all the good chemicals are just released into your body. Like, woohoo! We are on. I jump in the back of the car, throw all my stuff in there. I still got the TikTok live on. The numbers are climbing, but I'm not. I don't TikTok. I don't do the live from inside people's cars because I don't. They've opened up their safe space to me, not to 500 bloody people. And so, but I do say to the driver and the passenger, I'm like, what's your handle? Give me your handle. Like, what's your profile? What's the name of your TikTok or Instagram or whatever account? And I'll share that with people. And so they say it, and I go, cool, say it again. So they say it again. And I'm like, sweet as. And then I say to everybody on the TikTok live, right, I'm hanging out. We're on our way home. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for following all the things. And then I hang that up. And just before I do, though, it's cool because, people are commenting like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so wholesome as well, because it is a wholesome interaction. I've opened my safe space. They've opened their safe space. We've found this awesome spot in the middle. We're both going in exactly the same direction. They're taking me to where I need to be going. Johnsonville, which is a few minutes walk away from my house. Like all the stars have lined up. It's getting dark. If I don't catch this ride, I've got to go to plan B. Man, it is on. So I'm in the car and, oh man, it was so cool with these two ladies. Ricky was one of them and Picciarero, I believe was the name of the other lady. And they're like mid-20s. They're studying, they're working, they're doing the things. And man, we just have a cool time chatting. It's just relaxed chat. I do a little bit of coaching in the car. I can't help myself. And I Shazam about 9/10 of the music that they play because it's not music that I ordinarily hear or listen to, and it's cool. And we laugh a lot about, if you've got a group of friends, when you're the friend that brings a certain song into the rest of the group, and everyone's like, oh, wow, that's such a cool song. Yeah, just remember who brought that to this group, all right? So we laugh about that a bit. So I got my playlist is just like blowing up now. Yeah, man. So that was really cool. That was really cool. Cool vibe. Cool that, to have that kind of connection with these two young ladies and to hear about what they like their aspirations and stuff as well. Gives you a lot of heart, man. Gives you a lot of heart to know. Gives you a lot of hope to know when, I think younger people are often tarred with a brush that is totally inaccurate or overgeneralized, that, they're all about social media and influencers. These two weren't. They had profiles, but they deactivated them. They're prioritizing being able to teach young people like rangatahi, teenagers, and pass on like skills like weaving. They were learning te reo, learning the language. That was their priority. It wasn't about accumulating followers or, I don't know, any other vacuous things we find ourselves chasing. So yeah, it was cool, man. That was really cool. They also passed on some insights around anxiety as well that I thought were they actually reinforced stuff that I should be doing and helping other people with, and just overlook because I'm so used to having my own mindset that I forget that people are experiencing stuff that, although I've experienced before, my mindset's a lot more resilient now. So you almost forget that people still experience it. I might not have described that well, but just imagine that you experience something and then you don't experience it for such a long time that you forget that other people still get hit with it. That kind of thing. I get dropped off at the door. I get dropped off at the door to my home. It's funny, but it's funny, and yet my wife laughs at just the how did she describe it? It's just like, oh yeah, of course you would. Of course that happens. Like, why does that not happen? Because it happens so often. It happens so often. I get dropped off at the door. Like, no matter where I'm hitchhiking to, and I go to some out there places, and I get dropped off at the door. So, oh man, that's so cool. Oh, what an episode! What an episode, man! That had something for everything, something for everyone, right, folks? Like, if some part of that didn't entertain you, oh man. Or at least you felt insightful or informative. Listen or watch the whole thing again. No. Oh, good. I want to take a moment to thank everybody who has been along for that journey. There are a truckload, didn't mean that pun, but there are a truckload of people who are involved in that experience. I pack in so much life, and that was an example of it. That was from Friday to Monday. There was there was a lot of bucket filling moments in there for me. And I hope that, when I'm on my deathbed, I remember all of them. I will no doubt remember some of them. I'm, especially grateful to the people who go out of their way to help me. And I recognize that, people take a gamble when they pick a person up on the side of the road. And so I value that. I really value the stories, I really value when a person shares part of their life with me. Some of these people I may see again, most of them I will never cross paths with again. And so for that small point in time where our lives overlap, that means a lot to me. So I thank them. I thank them all. Thanks to everybody that had joined the TikTok live. Thanks to everybody that is listening or watching this podcast. By the way, if it wasn't, because I didn't mention at the start, but my podcasts, particularly like these 101s, are also done in video. So if you're on Spotify, you'll be able to watch the video. You'll be able to see me sitting in the cabin. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for helping make this show the success that it's been. I'll leave it at that. By trade, I'm a leadership and life coach. I help executives, business owners, entrepreneurs. Tick, tick, tick. I also help people with life coaching. Whether you're an executive, stay-at-home parent, and they're both on the same level, by the way, I help people to live a life they love, so they love life more. I understand how to do this, and I understand how to coach this with people. If you want to live a life you love, so you love life more, then please get in touch. Get in touch. Let's have a coffee. Let's have a virtual coffee. This is no obligation stuff as well. It's not a hard sell. But I guarantee you that after we've spoken, you're going to view life, or you're going to have at least one tool in your toolbox that's going to help you love life more. And that's what we want. We want to help you to love life more. Thanks as well to Debbie. Thanks to my family for supporting me on this journey. We have a rough ride at times, and at times we're at the top of the roller coaster. So it's all part of living. We are of the opinion that we never want to be on our deathbed and ask those kind of questions of what if, or I wish, or I wonder what would have happened if. Go out there and make life happen. Remember this phrase, folks. It is a cornerstone of my coaching. It is a cornerstone of my life. Be uncomfortable and grow. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Ka kite for now, and we'll catch up again soon. All right.